all once again as part of the organizing committee member also. I welcome you all to the mid of the session for the 21 days national refresher course on the recent technologies of livestock based IFS for doubling farmers' income, organized by BAU in association with NAHEB and NADCL. The topic of my presentation is integration of fodder crops in the livestock based integrated farming system. First of all, I would like to brief you all basically, as you all know what is, because we are all in the mid of the session, we all know what is IFS. In a nutshell, basically it integrates natural resources into farming activities to achieve maximum replacement of all farm inputs. The components, the various components are the crop livestock system, the agri-silviculture, the agri-horticulture, the silvi-horticulture. I will basically focus upon the crop livestock system. The different components further are the field crops, the crop production, the vegetables, the fruit cultivation, poultry farming, livestock integration, duckery, aquaculture, agroforestry, beekeeping, mushroom cultivation, biogas plant. Why there is a need of moving towards shift towards IFS? Because the problems we are facing from the present agriculture, which is the decline in the agriculture growth rate, the decline in the factor productivity, the decline or the static in the food production, and the increasing malnutrition. As we are facing, we are very well aware of the nutrition, the malnutrition where the people, particularly the children who are facing. It is because of the shift or the change in the agriculture system. The shrinkage in the net cultivation area, increasing in the environmental pollution, depleting the groundwater table, and increasing the cost of production, the low farm income, and the problems of the farm laborers due to the large-scale migration. So what is the solution basically we are moving towards for the IFS? There is a need, particularly due to the fragmentation of the land holdings and the lack of the capital investment is one of the most important shift towards the IFS, because we are having a small land holdings, the lack of capital investment, the lack of laborers, the lack of initial investment, okay, particularly for going to the monoculture. So we all have tried to get to an area where we can integrate different type of resources so that our income is generated, our income is improved, employment generation is there. So here comes the IFS, the seasonal income and employment. The risk of crop failure is one of the most important issue where we suffer, where we all the scientists suffer due to the aberrant weather condition. Okay, so the weather condition which we are facing, aberrant weather condition which we all know we are facing. So the shift towards IFS is one of the most important issues to come. Audible, ma'am? Hello? Hello? The single commodity farming, the horizontal expansion, and the deterioration of the resource base. Particularly, we'd like to brief you on the IFS. Okay, an integrated crop livestock system is a form of mixed production that integrates the crops and the livestock in a way that can complement one another in the space and time. Is my voice audible to you all? Hello. There is some kind of disturbance in the voice. Now it's okay. The integrated farming, integrated livestock system is a form of mixed production. Utilizes crops and livestock in a way that can.
Somebody else's mic is on. That's why there's disturbance.
Hello. Hello. Yes.
पवन कुमार
There's
जी का माइक ऑन है,
a-
उसको अगर म्यूट कर दें तो शायद डिस्टरबेंस ना हो।
इसका मैम
पवन कुमार जी का पवन कुमार जी का
मैम I'm just giving a call, please receive
पवन
the
कुमार जी का
मैम
माइक
I'm
ऑन
calling you,
है,
please receive the
उसको
call.
म्यूट कर देंगे तो शायद डिस्टरबेंस नहीं हो, शायद।
माइक ऑन
Hello.
ऑफ कीजिए माइक। हाँ देखिए देखिए जो है ना इसको ऑफ कीजिए। ऑफ तो है नहीं
Hello. Integrated, sorry for the disturbance due to some kind of technical issues. Integrated farming system. Basically, an integrated crop livestock system is the form of mixed production that utilizes crops and livestock in a way that can complement. That is the one component of input is becoming the output, the component of output. Okay, through a particular space and time. The backbone of an integrated system is the herd of ruminant animals like the sheep, goats, cattle, which are there, which graze a pasture to build up the soil. Eventually, the sufficient soil organic matter build up to the point where the crops can be supported. Animals can also be used for farm operations and transport, while crop residues provide fodder for livestock and grain provides supplementary feed for the productive animals. So these are basically the issues and basically the beneficial aspect and the components where we integrate the crop with the livestock system. This is the integrating the livestock with the crop farming. We can enhance wealth, we can enhance health, and the strategy, basic strategy of one is becoming the partner of another into the component of the IFS. The crop livestock system, it is the farming system where it combines crop production with the livestock rearing. Here the different herds of animals, we can see the poultry is there, the livestock is there, fishery is there. Okay, so we can integrate the ships are there, so we can the pisciculture, we can integrate all into one for increasing the income employment, for increasing the for increasing the crop failure, for increasing the sustainability, to come into the partnership of one and to overall development of the agriculture scenario. The prospects of integrated crop livestock system maintain sustainable production system without damaging the resource base. Means the basic resource base will always be there, and we are integrating one into another. Provide the full family employment throughout the year. Enables recycling. Recycling of the waste within the farming system is one of the important factor where we are where we are focusing into it. Provides a balanced food diet. The standard of living will be improved. Efficient utilization of all the land available within the farm. The components here, the 3-tier system of forest system we can use, the integrated tree cropping system, the agroforestry systems, the food and feed intercropping system, the relay cropping, the LA cropping, the grazing and the stall feeding systems, these are the components where we can integrate into the cropping system for in a particular fashion into the IFS. The advantages I have already discussed before also, that these are some of the advantages. The basic and the primus importance is the economical development per unit time. The profitability achieved due to the recycling of the waste of the enterprise as energy inputs for other systems. The greater sustainability in production and the integration of different production systems, solving the malnutrition. The malnutrition problem which we are facing, particularly the children, because we people are there, which we are born and brought up through a healthy lifestyle. But the people, the child, which who are there with us, they are facing, particularly the poor people who are not, who can't afford many of the nutrients, particularly which we are taking in the form of fruits, in the form of dry fruits. So we have to enhance the nutrient capacity. We have to enhance the sustainability to integrate the IFS so that the malnutrition problem which is there in the country, it can be solved out. Okay. Particularly the overall quality parameter also, the quality parameter which is there, by taking one crop in a particular fashion, they can be improved by integrating into many for a particular space of time. Now moving to particularly the scenario of livestock. What is the scenario of livestock in India? India is in with 3.28 million square kilometer of land surface, is endowed with diverse livestock species. World's highest livestock owner at about 512 million. The livestock population in India makes up about 12% of the world livestock population. The livestock provide livelihood to around 2/3 of the rural community. It also provides employment to about 8.8% of the population in India. India has vast livestock resources. The livestock sector contributes around 4.11% the GDP and 25.6% of total agriculture GDP, according to the 11th livestock census. The livestock sector is the backbone of Indian economy, in particular terms of income, employment, equity, sustainability, and the foreign exchange capacity and the earnings. Augmentation, the particular, I would like to focus that the recycling of the waste and integrating into another, the main focus is the byproduct, and milk is one of the byproduct of the livestock. Here we can see the goat milk is around 4%, the buffalo milk is around contributing to 49%, and the cow's milk is around 47%. So the feed of the animal, that is, here comes the fodder scenario. The feed of the animal is extremely important, which will increase the milk production, which will increase the quality of the milk, and the year-round fodder production means the feed of the animal and the food of the animal should be improved in productivity also, and in case of quality also, for getting the proper milk production and the quality improvement also. I would like to give a glance to you all what is the status of fodder production, in particularly focusing the Jharkhand areas. The livestock production is the backbone of Indian agriculture and also plays a key role in providing employment, particularly in the rural areas. Therefore, India has been the home of major drought, milch, and dual-purpose breeds of cattle. In India, there is no practice of fodder production in rural areas particularly, and animals generally consume natural grown grasses and shrubs, which are of low quality in terms of protein and available energy. They are thus heavily dependent upon the seasonal variations, and this results in fluctuation in fodder feed supply round the year, affecting the supply of milk in a year. This is one of the most important factor which is leading to the decrease in the fodder production in either India or in Jharkhand. So we have to focus, we have to increase the fodder production area by incorporation of good varieties, incorporation of the varieties suitable to particular areas, and for extension education program. We have to enhance the extension education program so that the farmers who are unaware, the farmers who are keeping the livestock, who are keeping the livestock in the farm, but they are purchasing it from market. So the farmers should be trained that if they are growing, if they are having the area, why not to grow the fodder crops along with the cereal crops, along with the vegetables, what they are practicing more. If they are keeping the livestock and they are not, if they are buying it from the market as a feed and the fodder, so there is an issue of money also. They are procuring fodder by giving giving money. So here comes the issue where we have to increase the extension education practices by making them aware that why not to grow it in your own field. Okay, so the fodder production program should be basic fodder production program should be make aware to these rural people also. The Jharkhand feeds around 32 million human and around 3.42% of national livestock population. Okay, the livestock rear on 0.12% of the fodder area and 0.95% of the grazing land, and contribute equal percentage of fodder and milk, that is 0.9%. Yield in the national pool with 180 as an average. Okay, so as feed and fodder contains about 55 to 60% of the total cost of milk production, thus good yield of green fodder is the demand of the day. How we can increase the fodder production, how we can increase the area, and how we can make the farmers aware to for the basic enhancement and the economic growth of the country. Okay, the fodder production per day is around 18 to 20 quintal per day in particularly Kharif, and 5 to 6 quintal per day in Rabi season. So my focus is that we have to increase we scientists and the rural people, particularly the unaware farmers, they are practicing different kind of farming. Like the crop farming in the case of cereals is there, legumes is there, in case of vegetables are there, but there is awareness among them for growing the fodder in the field. So this we scientists, we have to propagate, we have to teach them that please grow fodder also in their field. Why do you procure fodder from the market? This is an additional investment you are doing for yourself. If you are keeping the livestock, if you are keeping different kind of poultry is there, a different kind of livestock farming is there in your field along with the farming. So why not to grow it in your small piece of land, so that the additional income which you are procuring it from market, so that can be put it here. Okay. The scenario of feed and the fodder availability and the future requirement in India. There is tremendous pressure of livestock on available feed and fodder, as land available for fodder production has been decreasing. Particularly the land which is there for fodder production is decreasing, so we have to increase the land also. The scenario of feed and fodder availability till 2030. As we see from the table that there is a supply, the demand, and the deficit of the demand, the actual demand basically in the case in million tons. From 1995, as we see that we are having the deficit of 59.95, around 60% in the case of green fodder, and 20% in the case of dry fodder. And in 2025, in 2020, again we are having a deficit of 64% in case of green fodder, and 25% around in case of dry fodder. Though and the deficit which is being displayed also, it's there that we are still going on the deficit status of around 64 and 25% in the case of green and the dry fodder in the coming years to come. That is based on the 10th and the 11th 5-year plan document. Okay, so here we have to focus it how we have to make the deficit come into the case of feed and supply and demand, so that we are in the case of good demand capacity. So we have to decrease the deficit and we have to increase the demand capacity. This is again the scenario of 2020, focusing it as the deficit of around 64% as the green fodder, which was discussed earlier, and 25% in the case of dry fodder. The basic requirement and availability of feed and the fodder in million tons in Jharkhand. Okay, so as we see from the dry fodder, the green fodder, and the feed, the Jharkhand Agriculture Commission report, as we see from it that we are having the surplus, particularly in the case of dry fodder. In around 76%, we are having surplus of it in the form of concentrates and all. But here again, we are having the deficit of around 46%. In case of green fodder, and in case of normal feed also, we are having a deficit of around 55%. The opportunity, the landscape in the Jharkhand, as we see that the status of feed and the fodder requirement, as it is visible from the bar graph, that again we are having a deficit of around dry fodder 38%, the green fodder around 69%, and the concentrate is around comparatively better, but still we have to increase the concentrate also in case of Jharkhand condition. That is, we are comparatively we are having a deficit of around 35% in case of Jharkhand condition. The land classification and the land holding, as we see from the picture, that the marginal land, the small, the semi-medium, the medium, and the large, that it is around of 68 in hectare, where we can see that we are having the small land holdings, we are having the small area of land, and how we can utilize it to utilize more and more of the resources, in the small piece of land. But we are having a topographical scenario. We are in the area of it is at an altitude of around 620 meter above from the mean sea level. Okay, so we are having a not a plain land scenario like to the other states. We are having a topographical land. Means we are having the lowland also. We are having the midland also. We are having the upland also. So we have to choose the crops which are there suitable to the upland areas, to the midland areas, to the lowland areas, along with the normal cropping system. How we can incorporate the fodder crop for increasing the fodder production. As the picture shows, in case of roughage, that is the forage, the roughage, which comprises of basically the hay is there, the pasture is there, the legume is there, the hulls are there, the straws are there, the silage are there. These are basically the component of fodder. And in around 18% crude fiber and in around 20% crude protein, which is there on the dry matter basis. I will discuss what is pasture, as you people already are knowing hay, pasture. These are the basic component of the fodder development program. The silage is there, means how we can preserve fodder, how we can store fodder when we are having the deficit of fodder in the green period, how we can, when the green period, when the agricultural calendar is there, we can procure more and more of the green fodder. But when we are there in the lean period, how we can store it, either in the form of silage, either in the form of hay, okay, either in the form of straw. So these are basic components of the fodder for the regular and the year-round fodder production, as the form of green fodder and the form of dry fodder. The feed supply system. The feed and the fodder are the major important inputs, representing in around 50 to 75% of the total cost of production in any livestock production like milk, meat, and other livestock product, influencing the survivability of the livestock enterprises. Milk production in India is increasing fast, at present around 176.4 million tons. The feed and the fodder resources are depleting, the one of the most and the primemost issue. The feed and the means the milk production is increasing fast, and the feed and the fodder production is depleting fast. So how we have to come parallel with it, with the increasing milk production. The feed and the fodder resources are depleting very fast due to increased human population, the urbanization, and the pressure on land to grow the cereal and the cash crops. This leads to the qualitative and the quantitative insufficiency of the feed and the fodder resources. Like the main issues are there, that the milk production is increasing, the fodder and the fodder resources is decreasing. So how we can fulfill the increasing milk production, how we can feed the animals to give them the good quality milk. Here comes the scenario of feed and fodder. For increasing it to, as we are focusing upon the cereal and the cash crop, we have to give a look also to the feed and the fodder resources of the country. The crops taken in Jharkhand, the major important crops which are taken in Jharkhand, in the case of major crops, that is the paddy is there, wheat is there, maize is there, pulses, oilseeds, and horticultural crops. The minor crops are there like maize, arhar, urad, moong, wheat, gram, mustard. The main crops, paddy. In the cropping sequences, we can integrate paddy, maize, we can integrate paddy, wheat, we can integrate paddy and pulses. The major and the main forage crop varieties for the forage cultivation in the case of alternate land use pattern like silviculture, horticulture, we can integrate oat with Kent. Kent is one of the important variety of oat. We can take as in case of oat. Kent is a very important variety which gives a good yield. Hybrid Napier. Hybrid Napier is one of the most important forage crop if we plant it once in a year. Okay, so it gives the fodder production for around 4 to 5 years. It can sometimes go to around 5 to 10 years also. Kamdhenu is one of the most important variety of hybrid Napier. Hybrid Napier is a cross between the normal bajra with the Napier lines. It was first introduced from TNE Coimbatore, and it has been practiced in all over the India where the fodder production is grown, and it is the less maintained, maintained in the form of input also. If we plant it in a year, somewhere, anytime, it gives a good yield around the year also, and sometimes longer period of time also. Main agriculture crops whose residues are being used as forage like paddy straw, maize, wheat straw, natural grasses, and some trees are also there which can be taken. The year-round forage production through combination of perennial and the annual forages. The cropping sequences, as I told, as I displayed in the previous slide also, that integrating the crops, integrating two or more than two crops, particularly 3 or 4 crops, particularly, or two in along with cereals with the perennials, that reduces the risk of the crop failure, that increases the economic growth, that saves time, and that saves time in the form of money, in the form of labor. Okay, so if we are facing one of the seasonal crops, particularly if we are, suppose we are planting oats along with the perennial crop barley. Suppose in case of any kind of aberrant weather condition, if oat fails, so there is Napier is there, hybrid Napier in the field, which can support to the production. Okay, so here we can integrate the different crops for the year-round forage production, like the bajra into Napier, that is the hybrid Napier plus cowpea and bursting. It gives in around 260 tons per hectare per year of green fodder. Maize with cowpea, with MP cherry, one of the good variety, and with again cowpea with bursting and the Japanese rapeseed mustard. It gives in around 170, 197 green fodder, okay, per year. So again, cowpea we can integrate with bursting, we can integrate with Japanese mustard. So here are some of the sequential pattern where we can integrate different varieties of crops, where we can integrate different seasonals, and with the perennial fodder crops for giving a good year-round production. The sequence and the overlapping crop sequences were developed and evaluated at the IGFRI Jhansi to meet the green fodder production need of the dairy. For the year-round fodder production of the small farmers, particularly we have to focus upon the small and the marginal farmers in a particular who can get a good return, a bumper return in the case of feed in a small piece of land. It includes raising of bursine interplanted with hybrid Napier in the spring, and interplanting and intercropping the inter-row spaces of grasses with cowpea during summer. Okay, hybrid Napier intercropping with cowpea in summer after the final harvest of bursine. When we crop bursine in October, November, it goes to in around January, February for in around 3 to 4 cuttings of bursine. So when we harvest bursine, we can plant the inter-row cropping of cowpea with the Napier. This system found superior to multiple crop sequences in terms of both production and economics. The hybrid Napier could be successfully replaced with relatively soft and palatable perennial grasses like Setaria is there, Guinea grasses are there, and Bursine is there with leaf sun. Wherever the requirement is there, we can replace anyone according to the need of the crop, according to the need of the livestock palatability. We can replace there. Replacement should be always there in case of cropping sequence for getting a good return of the fodder in a particular time. Availability of green fodder. Green fodder is not available as per the requirement for the livestock feeding. I discussed earlier also that there is always a deficit. The area under permanent pasture and other grazing land in India is around 3.3% as against the recommendation of around 8% of the total cultivable area. Grazing lands are under continuous degradation due to the exploitative stress. Means grazing lands are always degrading. Means the the overpopulation and the the conversion of the grazing land, conversion of land into the different kind of housings and all. So the grazing lands are being degraded. So when the grazing lands are being degraded, we have to find out a land for the feed of the animals. If the pasture land is degrading, we have to increase the pasture area, we have to increasing the grazing land along with the land with the fodder cultivation for the seasonal and the pasture and the perennial crops. Shrinking due to the shrinking due to the competing demand of cultivating food crops for meeting the demand of increasing human population. Human population, urbanization, and industrialization, these are the important aspects, these are the important parameters where we are having the degradation of the land. So we have to focus how, if we are having the urbanization, if we are having a good industrialization, so how we can utilize the different pieces of land in the area for increasing the fodder cultivation and the production. This can be achieved through the multi-pronged approach, like the strategies for increasing fodder production per unit area, putting the good use of wasteland, okay, the degraded land, the marginal and the marginal land for the development of pastures and agroforestry systems, and the strategies for efficient utilization of available resources like the crop residues, the non-conventional feed and fodder, and the representing to the government for the augmentation of the feed and the fodder resources. This is one of the important factor also when we are planting it, when we are using it, and we have to represent to the government also for the particular plans, different plans for augmenting the feed and the fodder resources of the country. The recycling, now here we comes to the recycling of the, as we are the topic, focusing to the topic that we are integrating the livestock with the livestock with fodder. So here the recycling of animal washings and waste to be used in IFS is one of the important issues. The mineral value, the livestock which in the form of FIM, the farmyard manure, is one of the most important recycled material which we can utilize in the feed and the fodder for the fodder field. Okay, so which is bulky organic manure, and it has a long lasting effect for the crop production and the soil productivity, which can be properly utilized. The essential and the important parameters and the benefits of the FIM in comparison of using the normal urea in and the different fertilizer, how it is helpful, how we can how it is better as compared to the different kind of fertilizer which we are using. FIM contains all the essential required element for the crop growth. There are no ill effect, particularly in case of pollution. The residual effect is very less. It is cheap as compared to the different kind of fertilizer which we are using. The application of FIM improves the percolation capacity, the physical capacity of the soil. It improves the basic structure of the soil. It also improves the CEC, the soil, the cation exchange capacity of the soil by increasing the humus content into it. Okay, so why not to recycle the manure which is there and directly into the field? We can procure it directly into the field and we can use it to the crops, and it is one of the cheapest source of increasing the soil organic health. One of the another important is the biogas production. The recycled material, the waste which we can use in the form of biogas production. Biogas will make a convenient alternative to alleviate the energy crisis in the farm sector, particularly the household. Apart from providing a good quality manure, it is one of the important parameters. Biogas is generated through the anaerobic digestion of the organic waste, mainly the cattle dung. An average Indian farm family normally has 2 to 3 cattle, particularly the farmers who are there, who are rearing the cattle and who are in the field of agriculture sector. They try to keep at least 2 to 3 cattle for the agricultural purposes also. So here we can utilize the dung in the form of biogas production. The dung from these animals can be efficiently used. Increased popularization of biogas plant has led to around 16 lakh family type biogas plant in India, starting from a mere around 1,000 plant approximately in around 1972 to 73. We are having around 1.5 lakh number of biogas plant in India. This is the normal pictorial representation of how we can produce biogas by the anaerobic digestion process. The value addition here, the vermicompost comes. The vermicompost is one of the important recycled material. Okay, in the form of the vermicompost, basically is the casting of earthworms, the organic waste decomposed by the microorganism and is consumed by the earthworm. These are the castings of the normal worms, which can be utilized in the form of organic fertilizer. Vermicompost can be prepared easily, okay, and the vermicompost is a good organic manure which improves the overall health of the soil. The benefits, these are the benefits of vermicompost: the recycling of organic waste, production of energy-rich resources, reduction of environmental pollution, improvement of the water holding capacity of the soil, improvement of the CEC, the cation exchange capacity, encouragement of plant rooting, the incorporation of vermicompost and incorporation of the FIN, increase the plant root system and the overall growth of the plant. Creation of the substitute, it acts as a substitute also of the poultry in the form of feed and in the form of fish feed and poultry feed. This is the pictorial representation of integrating the fodder farming with the mango orchards. Pearl millet, the groundnut, intercropping into 2:4 ratio. The sorghum is there, pigeon pea, intercropping is there. The grass fodder, as we discussed about the pastures and the grazing land, means which fodder, which type of fodder should be there into the field. So these should also be, people should also make the farmers aware that what are the fodder crops in the form of perennial and what are the fodder crops in the form of annual, which can be grown into the land in a particular season. So in case of grass fodder, we can take hybrid Napier. It is a perennial grass fodder. It possesses more tiller and leaves than the Napier grass. With the normal Napier grass, it gives suppose 6 to 10 tillers. So hybrid Napier is there, which gives in around 50 to 20, 25 tillers also, and it is a good quality fodder crop. The Guinea grass is also there, the tufted and the fast growing palatable perennial grass, and the short creeping rhizome is there in the Guinea grass. The strategies for increasing the forage production per unit area. We have to identify the improved varieties. What are the varieties which are suitable in particular area? Suppose the varieties which are suitable in south, it might be suitable in our also, but we have to focus on the variety. By in case of trials, we have to move into the trials that which variety is there best, which variety is good in our place. We have to focus on the varieties also along with the choice. Identifying the varieties on the basis of high production potential, better quality food, adaptability to different agroclimatics, suitability to different living systems. Utilizing the state agriculture university farm, the animal husbandry departments, and the progressive farmers for production for distribution. Developing a system, proper system should be developed. Arranging supply of quality seed.
जैसे कैप्सूल सब होता है
Growing the varieties of the forage crop is essential for fodder production by efficiently utilizing the available resources of land, water, and other resources for the increased milk production and future food security of huge population of India. Means we have to focus on the production of the milk and the production of the good quality meat for the future.
हम जानते हैं
By the fodder production per unit area, and along with the increasing in production per unit area, we have to increase the quality of the fodder by various kind of strategic representing to the government for augmentation of the feed and the fodder resources, to increase the quota of molasses, to reduce feed cost, to replace the present practices of exporting oil cakes, rice bran, and animal feed into
मैम प्लीज पवन कुमार जा म्यूट आवाज आ रही है पवन कुमार जा की
अच्छा वो सर के बारे में पूछ रहे थे उस दिन जो हाँ तो वो सर आपके थैंक यू बोलना चाहते हैं
हाँ सौरभ दा,
हाँ बोलिए सर।
हमारा नाम हुआ पवन कुमार झा और हम जदारस दारी शाही में काजू के प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर, और यहाँ पर में हम किसान को ट्रेनिंग देते हैं, ठीक ना। और ये सब मतलब वही कुछ काजू का ये सब बना लेना है, उसका पोस्टर सब किसान सबका, जो हम लोग जो उसका जो क्षेत्र भ्रमण करते हैं या क्या क्या अचीवमेंट है, तो ये सब बनाना है। और ये हमेशा ट्रेनिंग होते रहता है, तो भविष्य में अभी फिर कराएंगे 5-7 दिन में। तो आपको थैंक यू इसलिए बोल रहे हैं कि आप हमको दिए वो सब चीज, मतलब क्या ठीक ना। क्या उसको बोलते हैं, बैनर दिए। और एक
Hello, ma'am, there's a disturbance in presentation because is my voice audible, no? Pavan sir, I think please try asking to me. Sorry for the disturbance. To increase the strict quality control measure for the pre-mixed and the mineral mixtures, to take up the plantation of fodder crop as an important component under the forestry system, to constitute the feed authority of India. The approaches of the government is the basic approach is increase forage production per unit area of time, encouraging the forage production in mixed farming system, putting to good use of the inundated land and the degraded land, the marginal and the sub-marginal land for the development of pastures and the agroforestry systems, efficient utilization of available matters like crop residues and non-conventional feed, and the fodder means the land which is there in the areas where we grow the normal crops like paddy, maize. So we have to choose the lands which are degraded land, the land where the crops and the vegetables where we can't grow. We have to focus that land also which is degraded, and the submarginal land which is unutilized. We can focus it onto it for the increasing fodder production. So we have to focus these approaches and put to the government also that for the utilization of these kind of lands. The fodder plan of Jharkhand. These are the fodder plans where we can increase the production per unit area. In case of Jharkhand, the green fodder production with improvement of the nutrient status to boost the dairy sector. Establishment and the modernization of the feed testing laboratory should be established. We are facing shortage of the feed testing laboratory. This is one of the primemost and the important factor we have to put a look into it for boosting the dairy sector. Means the quality testing should be there for the fodder production program. The focus program on regeneration, the promotion of silviculture, pastures, the revenues and the wasteland should be focused. There is need to promote scientific fodder crop production program through improved agronomic practices and improved seed. Means the programs with the farmers which are there who are practicing, and if they are scientific, we have to give a scientific program to them that how they can formulate it for the good fodder production. Extension is one of the most important department to promote the balanced feeding chaff feed and promote and proper storage of fodder to avoid losses need also to be emphasized. This extension should be given to this kind of extension means the proper communication. The proper communication to the farmers should be there, how they can promote the balanced feed, how they can keep the feed in case of the lean period, how they can store it. So these are some of the important plans for overall production of the fodder in case of Jharkhand. Now moving to the post-harvest management and the value addition of the forage crops. As we know, what is hay and what is silage, these are the important formulations where we are not getting fodder in case of lean period. So how we can store them? We can store them either in the form of hay, either in the form of silage. Okay, so what is hay? Hay is the process of turning green perishable forage into the product that can be safely stored and easily transported without changing much in the nutritional value, quality or aroma. Means the quality and aroma are the important factor to be looked into it for the feeding of the animals. If the animals, if the feed is prepared and the taste is not there, the animals won't like it. So we have to move, we have to look into the nutritional quality of the feed, that they have to store, they have to be prepared in a proper condition so that it is liked by the animal. This mainly focuses the curing processes, where reducing the moisture content by drying the forage in the sun. Means the normal drying process is there, but the scientific process should be followed. How we can store it? In the form of normal lean period, particularly summer time, summer when we have green fodder, we can use it in the form of the hay and the silage also. Silage is basically the anaerobic fodder which is prepared by the controlled fermentation under the anaerobic condition with high moisture content in the forages. Silage is produced by naturally occurring bacteria that convert the plant sugars into the organic acids, like the lactic acid is there, various kind of acetic acid is there, which are produced that preserve the nutritional quality of the fodder. For silage, the material should contain the moisture content in between 60 to 70%, and the pH should be maintained to around 4 to 4.8, around acidic. These are some of the parameters where we have to focus. Suppose we have a good bubble production in the field at the time of seasonal time, but how to store it? How to store when we will face the lean period? So these are some of the parameters for storing the fodder in the time of lean period. This is the picture representing the silage making. Hay is made when the production of fodder is in excess of consumption. The good quality hay, the dried forage, is as nutritious as the green forage. Means some of the water deficient will be there, but the all the content which is there in the case of green fodder, they can be, if they are properly stored, if they are properly maintained, it can be in the form of dried fodder, also in the form of hay. Means proper maintenance of the nutritional value should always be there when we are taking the fodder in the case of lean period. We don't have to just produce the fodder. We don't have to just store it like this. We have to see that this is the feed of the animals, and just like human being, how the taste is there in our taste bud, the same the taste is there in the livestock feed also. The feed, if the feed is properly prepared, it will be utilized by the animals. If the feed is not properly prepared, the animal won't like it. So we have to focus on the nutritional quality. We have to focus on the proper storage of the feed so that it can be properly utilized. It fetches higher price and helps in increase milk production when we are having the deficit of water. These are some of the constraints which are there with us for the increasing higher production. There is acute shortage again, and I'm telling you, of fodder, particularly the green nutritious fodder, which is a major cause of low production of productivity of livestock. We have a good number of livestock, but the livestock is not healthy as compared to the livestock as compared to the other country. The main issue is the low production of it. So how we have to increase, I discussed earlier also, and these were the main constraints. The reduced area under the fodder, the uncontrolled grazing, means the grazing of the animals is uncontrolled. The animals, the dairy animals, they are brought to the fields and they are sometimes left uncontrolled. Means we have to focus upon the different types of grazing methods, like the deferred grazing is there, the rotational grazing is there, the combination of deferred and rotational grazing both is there. Means we have to go to the controlled grazing method where the nutritional parameter and the proper growth stage of the fodder crop is properly maintained. Suppose we bring the animals into a particular field and we leave it in around for around 1 to 2 hours and they are completely grazed. Means when the next lot will come, they will find the grazing land totally empty. So how we can maintain it? Particularly in the foreign countries, the grazing land is prepared in the form of compartments. Means the chamber 1, 2, and 3. Suppose we bring the animals to chamber 1, we leave the animals ungrazed to the chamber 2 and 3. Means this is called the deferred grazing or the rotational grazing. Means we have to defer the chamber 1 from grazing to chamber 2 to 3 to be grazed. Means we have to follow the control type of grazing method for the proper utilization of the crops into the field. The poor management practices are there, which we are facing, and the intense livestock population, so which we have to maintain by the increased fodder production. Within the broad concept of sustainable agriculture, IFS hold a special issue. Here comes again the utilization of IFS. How is IFS important again? I discussed in the starting, I discussed IFS. What is the use of the crop livestock integration? And again, I am coming to the IFS system, how we finally integrated. The IFS hold a special position as in this system nothing is wasted. Means nothing, each and every part of the plant, each and every part of the material is utilized either in the form of recycled material, either in the form of byproduct. The byproduct of one system becomes the input for other. I discussed earlier also. IFS is an integrated approach for farming, and it is much better as compared to the monoculture approaches. Means where we take one thing at a time. It refers to the agriculture system that integrates completely together all the paradigm into one, the livestock and the crop production methods. Moreover, the system helps the poor farmers. Means our focus is not the rich people. Our focus is the poor people and the small farmers, where we have to serve them. Means how we can help these poor farmers by our scientific knowledge. We people are being trained. We people are being acknowledged by different kind of resources. But the farmers who are left over like this, particularly the small and the poor farmers, we have to be, who are having a small landholding capacity and who are not having a good income, how they can be trained into for it. Moreover, the system helps the poor small farmers who have very small landholding for crop production and a very few head of livestock to diversify the farm production, increase the cash income, how they can improve the quality and how they can improve the quantity of food produced by the not utilizing the exploitation of the unutilized resources. We have to exploit it, but to a limit we have to exploit. How we can integrate into the IFS. For integration of the fodder and the livestock based farming system, fodder availability can be improved through agronomic practices by improving the productivity of both cultivable and the non-cultivable land. Thank you all for listening, patient listening. Thanks all. I would like to, in the last also, I would like to thank all the organizing committee members for giving me a chance for delivering the lecture. Thanks all. Any question?
रत्नेश जी, रत्नेश जी, वो वाला जो सिस्टम है ना, उधर लगवा दो प्रेजेंटेशन के वाला। मेरा एक अभी वो लेक्चर है ऑनलाइन। अच्छा वो हाँ हाँ नेट तो हाँ अच्छा तो इसमें तो फिर माइक लगाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती ना, ये लग जाता है तो माइक ये स्पीकर है नहीं, वहां पे तो माइक की जरूरत नहीं रहेगी कि अपने को कैमरा और माइक तो वो वाले कंप्यूटर में तो ये लगाना पड़ेगा ना फिर उधर। हाँ हाँ
हेलो
यस मैम हेलो
मैम हैव यू एनी क्वेश्चंस? Participants, do you have any questions? Okay, we will conclude this session. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am, on behalf of NEDCL and on behalf of participants. Tejva ma'am, am I audible?
नेट चालू कर दो।
Hello?